Angel, can you just tell them exactly what is dual enrollment?
All right, so dual enrollment is a way for students to be enrolled in high school and college at the same time. And they'll get credit for both their high school credits, and they get college credit. So it's you're enrolled in both. Sometimes you hear it called joint enrollment, but dual enrollment. So you're enrolled in both and get credit for both. So you can be part-time or full-time.
And right, exactly, which is the great thing about it. You don't have to well, let's talk about that. What are the benefits of going full-time? And does that mean that you still have classes at home, or do you still have classes? Explain that a little bit.
So you can do up to 15 college hours per semester. So that's, I think, a full-time student. That's 5 college courses, 3 credits each. So that would be a full load. I mean, if a student was still had time in their day and wanted to do other things, they would be welcome to, but they would, those would just count for the high school and college credit. But I wouldn't advise doing more than that, because it's a heavy load.
Right.
And even starting now, even starting now, you probably want to start your students out with like 1 class at a time, then maybe build them up to 2, or, just kind of see what they're, how they're doing with that first class. But I wouldn't ever start with a whole lot at once, because you got to get them acclimated to everything.
Exactly. And I will say, and I see Erin said that she's on her 2nd year of dual enrollment. Yes, it is awesome. It is an awesome experience. And just to kind of talk about my experience, or my son's experience, he wanted to I don't think he wanted to do a full load, but he wanted to take as many classes and courses as possible, because he thought, I want to get out of here and I want to be a junior, or when he gets to a full college. But he realized very early on that it was a little bit more than what he imagined. And the professors treat you like you are away. At least the school that he went to, they treated him as if he was off at some college. And they told us on the first day, this is the last time you talk to us. Every other communication is between us and your child.
Yep.
So they cut the cord on orientation day.
Yep, they make you do a whole FERPA form to be able to communicate with the professors. But, for the most part, the students have to advocate for themselves. They have to contact the professor themselves and answer anails. That's very, very important, is being on top of their email.
Yes.
I got little people, but
Yes. So that's the awesome. The other awesome thing about doing dual enrollment, they're getting a jump start. Well, homeschoolers anyway are already taught to be independent. So they kind of already have that going for them. So let's talk about some of the pros again. Some of the pros of dual enrollment.
Well, it's free. So they pay for tuition, they pay for books, and most of the fees. Every now and then you might have like a lab fee or something like that you have to pay for out of pocket. So you save whatever credits your child is accumulating during the dual enrollment program. Later on, when they're in college and they don't have to take those classes, you've saved that money. So and even as a free high school course, if that's good too, because you're getting somebody teaching the course for you, it's like outsourcing.
Right.
But you don't want to you don't want to be like willy-nilly with it, because if they fail a course or something like that, there's more problems down the line. But you save the money. It also helps build their confidence. So if they see, I did this, I can do this, then once it comes time for college, they already know, like, I know what the workload is, I know what the expectations are, and I can do this. Also, they get extra half a point for their GPA, for the HOPE GPA. So like, say you get 3 points for a B and 4 points for an A. If you got an A, you would get a 4.5. So that would help boost your HOPE GPA, and then, enable you to get more HOPE scholarship and all that kind of stuff. And
now, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's a new one that I found when I was going through all the docs, and I was like, But that's for HOPE GPA is different from like overall cumulative. So just
exactly
whatever's requiring that, but it's still it doesn't hurt at all. Unless you get a bad grade on the course, then it can a little bit hurt. But some schools will allow you to retake the class if you failed, and then if you want to just repeat for a higher grade, some schools will allow you to do that too, but you'll have to pay out of pocket if you repeat for just a better grade. So those are most of the benefits and stuff that I would say.
I think those are great, because Yeah, again, this is giving you that head start before you go off to a 4-year or even a 2-year to get them going in college. So I'm looking at some of the other things that we're going to talk about. How do you find out or know? Well, how do you know that your teen is ready for dual enrollment? What do you think are some of those cues, those things that let you know?
Like, what does it look like, or how do you know?
Yeah, like how did you know that your daughter was ready? How I knew my son was ready.
I don't know if she was. I might
I
have
know,
been.
right?
I might have been
Pushed.
encouraged, but no, I think it's good because she was a very organized.
Mm,
Um, the ways that I felt like she wasn't ready, and she was very very good about knowing what she could handle, and like she handled her stress well. So those are some of the things you want to look for. That they're
yeah.
assertive, that they know how to speak up for themselves. That was an area that
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't really good at, because
Okay.
she didn't want to like email her professors and stuff like that. So, but
Mm,
and also that they have that sense of independence, that we see in a lot of our homeschoolers, that they're conscious of deadlines, and that they, not so much that they're always meeting them, they're perfect with them, but that they are aware of them
right.
and
Right.
conscious of them, and that they know like how to kind of work within them to some extent. And that you have those kind of students
Exactly.
that's like they're on it, they could probably handle it. So.
I have to say, I was the same way. I encouraged it. I said, look, this is a way to save money. Get these I'm like, this is a way to get you a head start. These are classes that are free, because you already know, some homeschoolers, their goal is not to go to college, but he knew he wanted to go to college because he knew the degree that he wanted to work towards. So I'm like, this is a step in the right direction. So I know I did encourage him. I did know that he's very focused, so I knew that he was ready in that sense. He did have to work on the emailing his professors and advocating for himself. He's assertive, he's confident when he speaks, but he just wasn't sure about how that communication with the professor, how it would help him and benefit him. I told him, which I thought I learned when I was in school, is that part of your grade is communicating with your professor when you're in class. They want to know that you're there and that you're paying attention. So
Yeah.
it's like, you don't have to be their friend because they're not trying to be your friend, but at least participate.
Yep.
So that was two of the things that I knew that he was ready for. So there was a learning curve for sure, and that's with anything. I mean, if
Yeah.
you started a new job, you have to learn there too. So there is a learning curve, but I think that if you know your child, and if they're homeschoolers, I just believe inherently that homeschoolers do have that extra sense of confidence and independence that they can step into these kind of circles and they'll do well. And I've seen testimonies, I've heard professors talk about it, so I
Yeah,
think they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay.
I do. I agree.
Okay, and then let me see. I'm looking at our thing. Okay, so I know you talked about it. Readiness looks like being organized, proactive, flexible, to be able to, work around their schedule. It really teaches them life skills, not just, what do I do when I get in college? Being able to advocate for themselves, being aware of deadlines, like you said. And then you have a flip side, I
Oh, yeah.
see, one of your, so what is that flip side?
Well, being unorganized, procrastinators, those kids that procrastinate, you don't want to throw them out there with that yet. Like,
Yes.
even if you want to use the program as a way to like help, build up some skills, like if they're super procrastinators, you
Mm-hmm.
don't, because then they may end up failing, and then, then that's a whole other thing. You don't want to, so you want to kind of build
Right.
up to, if they're easily overwhelmed, if they're like, this is too much, like if a lot of work is too much, that might be a cue that they're not quite ready yet. If they're really panicked,
Mm-hmm.
scared to ask for help, stuff like that, or will like just not ask for help, that's another thing you gotta be working on. And then if they're
Right.
the kind of students that need like a lot of extra time to complete their assignments, even if they do complete them, but they need like a lot of extra time, then it might be something like wait on doing dual enrollment. Do something like Coursera and like online university level
Ah,
courses where they can
yes,
get used to it
yes.
and they can go at their own pace, but then they can start like working on, shortening their times to get stuff done, paying attention to how long it takes to get stuff done, and then trying to, work on condensing their time, and they can
right.
give them a similar experience, but they'll have that, they'll have more time to work within it. And it's a good like introduction preparation for doing dual enrollment, which is almost like the real thing,
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Coursera, which is an awesome, and Coursera is not the only, there's a lot of universities that offer courses that your child can take, Yale or, whatever the class is. There's so many.
Yeah, there's a good one now called class-central.com. And they connect to Coursera, they connect to Udemy, and not Udemy, but like edX and a bunch of different ones. It's like a all-in-one search engine for a bunch of the different online courses, and then you can link to them and sign up at each place. But that one I really like. I'll put a link to it too.
So
in the, thing.
I was gonna say, can you add it to the?
Yeah, I forgot
go
to
ahead
add those in there.
You can go ahead. I was about to type it in there, but I was like, I don't know. I'll let her type it in there. So if you could put that in the chat box there, that would be awesome. So some of the things that you need to do to start thinking about preparing for dual enrollment are preparing to apply. And so we're going to talk about applying and what things you can expect once you apply, and do they need to fill out a FAFSA and all of that good stuff. So let's talk about that. Okay, glass tester. Okay. So let's talk about the application process. What does that process look like?
They have to do this paper application for homeschool students. Our process is a little different than the kids in regular high schools or whatever. So we have to do, they can enroll online, it's all easy. We have to do this paper form. So the student fills it out with or without, you can like have them do it by themselves and then review it and then sign it, or you can do it together, whatever. Student and the parent do the paper application. You send it into the school, and you do that every single semester. And there's no FAFSA or anything. Right. All the funding is taken care of with them. And then you have to also apply to the school of your choice. Whatever particular school you're going to, they will have their own like kind of application process. And then you'll have usually some kind of test. Most of the 4-year schools will require like SAT, ACT, but the most of the 2-year schools and all the ones in the technical college system of Georgia, they allow this test called AccuPlacer or Compass, and those are a little less daunting, I say, than like the SAT and the ACT.
SAT or the ACT.
Yeah. So then you'll do your test.
Sure.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. But that paper application has to go in every single semester.
Right, exactly. And I have to say, in my experience, I don't think they required Daryl to have a specific GPA. He had to have a 3.6 or higher to be enrolled. He didn't have to turn in his SAT or ACT, or he didn't have to take the Compass or any of those other things. So this is a private university, so that may be why that happened with that particular school. But when you check with the school, they will give it. Exactly. So that was our experience. They weren't required to take a test. They just had to, their GPA had to match, and then they took it from there. So
okay.
So this dual enrollment funding application and participation agreement, that's basically what we're talking about, right? That's the application that you're talking about that they need to fill out?
Yeah. Yep, that's it. Paper application, dual enrollment application. Yeah. It has a long name.
So it's a long, I'll say it again. It's the Georgia Student, it comes from the Georgia Student Finance Commission. But it is the dual enrollment funding application and participation agreement for home study. And that form basically has all of your information. I think they even ask what school are you interested in, what classes are you interested in taking. And again, that would go in addition to once you figure out the school that you're applying to, that your child is applying to attend. I know we don't have this on here, but I really kind of wanted to also have you checked into the HBCUs in our area, in the Atlanta area, and what is their policy of dual enrollment? Because I know at one time they did not allow it. So where are we now?
This is what I found at Spelman and Morehouse. It's only available to seniors. So you have to be a senior. And at
Mm.
Spelman, on their website, they say they don't participate in the Georgia dual enrollment Move On When Ready program. So you have to pay for it out of pocket, the
Okay.
cost. And then Morehouse didn't indicate that much information, but you know, it looks like you have to contact them to figure out their application process or whatever. But their application deadlines are January 15th, and I guess that's for, you know, they don't do semester wise, probably they probably do the whole year. So January 15th
Okay.
for theirs, and then you confirm your enrollment in May. And I couldn't find anything at Clark for dual enrollment, and they call it joint enrollment at both Spelman and Morehouse, but I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
So they may not have anything at all. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I definitely looked.
those were pretty unique.
Several years ago, I looked.
Yeah. It seems like they must have had a high demand of people asking about it and wanting it. So they've let it in, but it's very persnickety. Seems very,
Right.
very persnickety. I think even
Exactly.
their homeschool requirements are pretty persnickety. Like they wanted quite a lot. But you know, they're private schools, so they do have different, I guess, standards. I don't know. I don't know.
I was going to say, yeah, because, you know, we go through the application process and we talked about, you know, some of the things that you have to do to prepare to apply. Once you get enrolled, that is the other thing. So what happens, I don't know if I'm moving ahead of myself, but let me ask this question. So what can you tell them happens? Okay, so do they graduate from their homeschool high school and just go right in? Do they graduate and do they have to do the whole process over? I can tell you my experience, you can tell your experience, and you can say maybe what the law says.
Okay.
And see if it's somewhere in the between. Go ahead.
You go ahead first.
Okay, so for my son finished his, when he finished his 2 years or 2.5 years at Point University, that's where he went, which is a private university. When he finished, he did graduate from our homeschool, but he applied. Did he apply? Now I have to remember. I don't remember if he applied or if he just moved right in.
Oh, okay.
And he stayed at Point University.
Okay.
He had to go through the same process. He had to fill out his FAFSA. He did apply.
Okay.
He had to fill out his FAFSA. They used his transcripts, and he just went right in. Again, he didn't do so well on the SAT, so he didn't even submit his SAT scores to the school. They just went off of his transcripts, which he did really, really well those 2 years. And they processed all of his, you know, scholarships, grants, and all of that from him being already in the school.
Yeah. It sounds like.
And so that's what happened with him.
Yeah, it sounds like since he already proved himself to them, you know what I mean? They didn't probably, you know,
exactly.
Were like, we don't need to test score. You've already shown us what you can do. So, yeah.
Exactly. I pretty much, I think that's how it went.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what my son Jacob is going to end up doing. I think he's probably going to stay there. I'm not sure. They don't have his major, so he's going to have to figure out what he's going to do as far as transferring out or what he's going to do with that. But
okay.
What about your experience?
Before I talk about what my daughter did, real quick, you reminded me of something. The whole transfer student, if a student accumulates a whole lot of credits and during dual enrollment, when they go into college, they may like view them as a transfer student instead of a freshman. So that can be one thing to be aware of, because you may miss out on certain scholarships that are only available to freshmen and things like that. So that's one thing to be aware of that I just recently found out too. So with my daughter that did the dual enrollment, she ended up going to high school for her last 2 years, and then she did a dual enrollment program there with the high school. They had like a photography, some kind of program, and so she continued dual enrollment through the school. So she went to apply to college. She just, you know, got those transcripts from both institutions or whatever, and then she submitted her regular application. So that way, when she came into college, she already had those credits applied and all that kind of stuff. So she went through a whole application process because it was a different school. But yeah, she had those transcripts and those things on her books and her record, and about that.
Right.
Have been helpful to her as well, because they did help boost, because she did good in most of the classes that she did. She got good grades. So they did help boost her Hope GPA that it made, it
Okay.
helped probably with her Zell Miller scholarship. And then when now that she's in college and got a couple bad grades, having those extra good grades back in the day
Right.
have helped her GPA still maintain pretty well. So that's good too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. It says utilize homeschool advantage. What are those? What should we be thinking about? What are those advantages should we be thinking about?
Well, I mean, like homeschoolers, since we have the ability to like create our own schedules, study what we want, how we want, when we want. If you're thinking about dual enrollment and you're thinking about a school that maybe has a placement test or something like that, you can easily take a solid month or whatever to completely devote to studying for those tests. Not like completely where your face is in the book all day long and like not
right.
like that, because I mean that is like counterproductive. If you spend too much time studying, your brain just like it's completely counterproductive to overstudy. But
exactly.
You can use that time to like really build like a nice, and have your student be definitely, they should be like kind of driving the force of this study plan, but helping out, figure out like how to arrange a study plan, like how many hours a day do you want to study on this, or how much time, how many minutes do you want to study on that. Looking at the results of all your practice tests and saying, what are the areas I need to work on? What am I really strong at? And keep working on those areas that you're strong at, because that's good. And then I say, like, don't focus as much on the areas that you're weak at. I mean, try to get proficient at them, but don't like overwhelm yourself with trying to do something that you're still struggling with. Focus on those things that you're good at and be like master at that. So, but definitely try to like, in each of the practice tests, they have different sections. Like this is I know they don't have synonyms or whatever in SAT anymore, but word comprehension or whatever. Those sections you can kind of see, you can kind of focus on, I'm going to do this topic today, and then I'll do this section of math today, and then tomorrow, they can plan it out however they like, but it's a good, we have that advantage of being able to map it out and take as much time as we want to really focus and hone in on those test taking. Even though it sounds like public school and test prep and all that, we don't spend all
but it's a little but exactly.
There's nothing wrong with preparing for tests. I'm a strong advocate for never walking into a test without having like never even taken a practice test or anything. That's like the absolute wrong thing to do. Don't ever enter a test blind. Way too many kids do that. I'm like, did you take any practice tests? No, I'm just gonna go take it. And, I mean, you can really, just from practice alone, you can boost yourself 50 to 100 points just from knowing what to expect on that test. And the little tricks and pitfalls, like those little test prep books that you can get at the library, they have great tips in them about all the things to, watch out for and what to expect and all that kind of stuff. So I say utilize that homeschool advantage of having our time to, really, really hone in on the preparation for, or even if you're wanting to prepare them for dual enrollment, you can have a certain amount of time you're working on study skills or working on, all that kind of stuff. And
I'm trying to think of that freshman class that a lot of them have to take anyway. And
freshman orientation.
Is it time management? Some time management, some class.
Time management.
You can start with.
There's even a class out there that's on Coursera and all them called Learning How to Learn or something. And that is an awesome class, because it teaches you. That's why I say, like, don't overstudy, because that's one of the things I learned in that class, that it's important to have these, like, in between break times where your brain is like processing everything and starting to
processing. Yes.
Yeah, and like really the neural connections are made during those rest times and stuff. So but that's a really good.
I agree.
For anybody that learning.
I'm gonna look for that. I'm definitely gonna look for that. Okay, so it says post-secondary grad opportunities.
Oh yes. Yeah, there's this other program. I think it works with dual enrollment. It's called Senate Bill 2 SB2. But this allows them to, it's like a dual enrollment thing where you get your diploma, but you also can get either an associate's degree or you can get like a technical certificate or diploma. And I'm putting a link to this whole PowerPoint in our bio, on Magimatics bio, and you can, you can click all of these links in there. But you can see what programs are available in that post-grad SB2 program. But it's like welding, some computer science majors and stuff like that. But your student could effectively graduate high school with their high school diploma and an associate's degree and go right into it.
Yes.
And go right into working and, be making money out the gate and,
Right.
and I recommend that for students who really kind of have identified that that's a serious career interest for them. And they've like experienced worked with it and said, you know what, I really like coding. I really like programming. I really like computer science. I really am thinking about being a welder. And I like the idea of that, because welding is one of them. And welding is, it's like all of the welders, like the median age of welders, I think is like 50, 60 years old. So there's a whole generation of them that are going.
Wow, yeah.
And the robotics industry is not ready yet to take over all the jobs of welding that we need. We always hear about robots are taking over, but they're not taking over.
Right.
And we need welders. And
that's good stuff.
She started like $50,000-$60,000 a year in welding. So it's a great, and there's so many things, so many applications of welding, building bridges to micro things. So yeah, cool stuff.
Absolutely true. Okay. I know if you have any questions to any of the things that we've been talking about, please remember, you can always you can comment under our posts, under Imaginatics posts, and put a question there. Or you can, if you follow me, because my page is private, if you follow me, you can always put your question under there and we'll get back to you and answer it. Yep. You can also DM us. Georgia is a great place, a great state that offers dual enrollment. It really is not a difficult process. Yep. There are schools all over the state that are available to your student to be able to participate in the dual enrollment program. So don't look at it as a scary, undaunting thing. It really is a doable, I would say fairly easy process that your student can get involved in. And again, it's saving money. You are getting free courses. I definitely want to talk about this. The difference between what is the benefit of dual enrollment versus AP courses, because I just don't understand homeschoolers you go ahead.
So
let's talk about that.
An AP course and dual enrollment, you're in class all year long learning these things. In AP class, I think you have a much higher workload than dual enrollment. Even though dual enrollment is a regular college course, those AP class workloads are huge. But at the end of the AP year, you have to take an AP test. And whether you pass or fail, whatever your score is, that is what reflects like what you do for the whole year. That's what you're judged on, that one test at the end of the year. And those tests are super challenging. So, that can be pretty rough if your child has done this classwork all year long and they've worked hard all year long and then they get a 2, instead of a 4, or they get a 1. And then, so they can't even present that to the college as anything. Whereas with dual enrollment, you are judged based on just like any class, the sum of all your work, and your finals and your midterms, everything's cumulative. So that's definitely, I think it's advantageous. But some like really, really selective schools, really, really top tier schools, they prefer AP classes and the IB international baccalaureate classes to dual enrollment. If you want to go to Princeton and do a Harvard, then go look at the AP classes. But you can do AP on edX too, edX.com. They have AP level classes that you can do and take the AP test. But I don't think it's worth it, at least for what my children want to do. And, and for most people that I know, I wouldn't recommend AP. Yeah.
Right. Because you're not even getting college credits.
Yeah.
You're getting college credits with dual enrollment. And your child is still going to have to go to that college and take those classes that you would be taking in dual enrollment. And they're free. So that's the other good thing about it. I do know a couple of people, going back to the whole post-secondary thing, I do know a couple of people who decided to go ahead and leave with their associates, and who went ahead and took that and went into their field and are working in that field. And that wasn't their desire to get a bachelor's or go on to get a master's. Right now, that's what they wanted and that's what they achieved. So they graduated with their high school diploma and they had their associates, and
And they're doing all right.
They're doing their thing.
And then, you know,
they're doing all right.
You may turn 25 and say, I want to go and get a 4-year degree. But you've already been in the work industry. You've already accumulated all that. And now you've earned money. Hopefully you've saved. And now you can even still do a 4-year thing. You're still young. I mean, it's not like you have to stop there, even if that was, you know,
exactly.
You know what I mean? But it puts them in a really good position, a much better position than most people coming out with 4-year degrees that can't find jobs, that don't know what they want to do, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's hard when you try to talk to your children about certain things and let them see the reality of it, because our society and TV and everything is, you know, we think high school, college, success, you know, and that's
right.
And
yeah.
Even, you know, and even when we raise our children, that's the mass media, mass society, so people still kind of identify with it and think that. So it's a little tough to kind of explain to them, like, in real life, though. We want to get them to see the point. But, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There was one question that was asked to me yesterday, kind of switching gears. Someone asked, what is the age or the grade that students can apply for dual enrollment?
Okay, so it's open, like, over the state, 9th through 12th grade. But some schools have different requirements, like we were saying with Spelman and Morehouse, you have to be a senior. Some schools you have to be 16. Some don't let you in until you're a senior. So, you know, so they all may have their own little special requirements. But as early as 9th grade, entering their 9th grade year, they would be eligible according to the rules and everything. And they also can go to any school in any, there's no residency requirements or anything like that. So they can take classes at a school, you know, way down in South Georgia online, or, you know, anything like that. If they have a class that they're interested in or a program that they're interested in, it can be a school anywhere else. So that's the other really cool thing about it, too.
I will say that when Daryl applied, he was 15, and they did not. Well, not Daryl, Jacob. When he wanted to apply, he was 15, and they said they wanted him to be a little older. So he had to wait because his birthday is at the end of December. So he was already in the 11th grade, but they wanted him to be a little older. So he had to wait until the following semester, and then he was able to go. It was the age thing for him. And like she said, some schools, they want you to be older. Even if you are in the 9th grade and you maybe have a great SAT, they still may say, can you just wait till you get a little older? But yes, like you said, overriding, the rule is 9th to 12th, but it depends on the school and what they want you to do.
So I guess
I'm trying to think if there's something.
Little ones. They're like, we don't want any 14-year-olds here on our campus.
Exactly, but you hear stories of 14-year-olds on campus. You read about them. I know there's a young man at Spelman. I mean, that's Spelman, at Morehouse, who's already, doing that. He's already doing that. So I wanted to kind of maybe start wrapping up where we are. I wanted to shout out Kid Cultivators. I know they are having an event coming up. Do you have the details on that?
Yep, it is August 22nd, which is a Thursday, from 11 to 3. It's at the Southeast Atlanta Branch Library, and they'll be talking more about dual enrollment. And then they also have a college fair and expo. They're going to talk about the whole college application process, scholarships, all kind of good stuff. But you have to RSVP, so go on Kid Cultivators Instagram or Facebook and scroll, look for the announcement. Let me show the picture of it real quick so you know what you're looking for. Look for that.
There you go.
Link, or the link will probably be in their bio, and then RSVP. But that should be a really good lot more information and find out stuff because I know everybody's looking for scholarships.
Right, exactly. And Kid Cultivators is doing great stuff. So definitely, if you can make it, get out there and connect with them. Leslie and the rest of the team over there, they're doing a good work. I think that's where we all met at Kid Cultivators. Exactly, Kid Cultivators. I mean, our children were real little then, so it's been some years. But yeah, Kid Cultivators is a great resource, so definitely check out for them. And Angel's she's gonna put the document on her bio, and she has a lot of resources for you all to check out. Again, if you have any questions for us that maybe something we didn't talk about, please leave a question in one of our posts, and we'll get back with you with that. And we'll probably come back and do this again and touch on something else. But thank you guys so much for joining us, and y'all appreciate your wisdom,
All right.
your experience.
I appreciate you. All right.